Guess the ELO, win $20. That's the name of the game. If you can watch one viewer-submitted Pokemon Showdown game and correctly guess the players' rankings, you win $20. Our contestants today are none other than the fine people whose submissions were accepted in the last video. Chili Single Strike, Limphau 21, and Pig Warrior. Each contestant will be shown a random submission sent by you, the people, and if they can correctly guess the ELO of either player within a range of 20 points, they'll get a mean $20. Let's give a warm welcome to our first contestant, Chili Single Strike. Chili will be reviewing a Gen 9 doubles OU game sent in by Mochi. The match begins and both teams are decked out with the usual suspects of the tier, but our hero Mochi begins with a fatal error, attempting to use After You on his own Goldengo, not knowing that Goldengo's ability blocks it from activating. He pays dearly as the enemy Torkoal wipes out his Pokemon with a devastating eruption. The next turn, Redemonic misses his Sleep Powder but is able to stay alive thanks to Sash. The Focus Sash works excellently because after Torkoal does another massive eruption, Lilligant is able to use After You again to have Torkoal clear the entire field with Lava Plume before Mochi is able to act. Mochi is backed against the wall, only 2 Pokemon left, but he's gonna give it his all, clearing the Torkoal with Zard and getting a 10% Ancient Power boost to all his stats. Armarouge fights back with Lava Plume, but it doesn't do enough, and Armarouge gets put to sleep by Spore. Now Among Us goes Terra Water, which probably should have happened last turn, but Mochi's Zard is able to take out the opponent's Zard instantly with an Ancient Power. Next turn, Donspun comes in and uses Protect, and Zard gets another Ancient Power boost, and it's looking like Mochi might be able to claw this game back from the brink of defeat. Another Ancient Power takes out Armarouge. Meanwhile, Donspun is barely not able to feint Among Us, leading to it getting spored. Briargraph enters the field and is the target of Zard's next Ancient Power, leading to another Ancient Power boost. That's 3 activations in like 5 hits. It's looking like it's all over for Redemonic, but cooler heads prevail as Redemonic uses Protect and PP stalls Mochi into using Struggle. That's a Spec Zard, he's locked into Ancient Power, and the Ancients are all out of power. Redemonic takes a narrow win, and that's GG for our protagonist, Mochi. Thanks for sending in a submission where you lose, that takes bravery, and good on you for showing some excellent sportsmanship in the chat. What an insane game, one that is surely very difficult to analyze with brilliant plays and utter baboon with a keyboard nonsense all packed into one. What are your thoughts on this game, Chili?
That was actually very wild. I just don't know. It's very difficult to guess the ELO when the whole game is running around luck. I mean, both of them did so many bad plays. Like, he was also not switching in from Ancient Power. He knew he had Ancient Power, but still he went for Charizard and didn't protect. It's actually very difficult. I really want to say around 15 to 1600, but then the plays were very bad.
Alright, Chili, can I lock you in to a specific number?
Okay, let me think for a moment. It's a game around 1460 to 1480.
Well, Chili, you are correct. It didn't even matter that I forgot to make you choose either one of those numbers. Both 1460 or 1480 were both correct. Redemonic ended this match with a rating of 1472. This was an excellent prediction for sure by Chili, right on the nose.
Nice!
And before we kick Chili off, be sure to check out his YouTube channel. Do you have anything left to say, Chili?
Yeah, my YouTube channel might be in the description. It's Chili Single Strike, and you can go there and watch anything.
Thanks so much for being on. And now we have a Gen 8 random battles game that's going to be reviewed by Pig Warrior. Pig Warrior was the highest rated player to ever submit to GTE with a skill level that far surpasses even my own in Gen 8's random battle, so I expect a great analysis from him.
Hopefully.
This game was sent in by Alt F4, and fun fact, Alt F4 is the keyboard shortcut for closing the window. So while I have censored this name on Pig Warrior's screen, please do not press those buttons or you will close YouTube. The game begins with a toxic trade between a Quagsire and a Shuckle. Quagsire swaps to Cavalier, who begins to set up to max attack.
Letting Toxic on Quag immediately is really bad. Unaware is very important. Completely wall stuff like S-Cal, other stuff. I haven't played Gen 8 in quite a while, so I'm not sure on the specifics on which mons it beats, but it does hard check a lot of stuff.
Shuckle falls and Reshiram is brought in to force out the Escavalier, but not only is it able to force out the Escavalier, but it's also going to be able to break through this Quagsire, who stays in on a Draco Meteor, losing the remainder of its HP. Cragnole comes out and tries to rapid spin away Shuckle's progress, but gets blocked by Jellicent, a ghost type that will be able to come in constantly and stop the spin. After trading Toxics once again, Cragnole switches out to Escavalier, and Jellicent uses Shadow Ball. Afterwards, Jellicent switches out to Nidoqueen, who is forced to set up Toxic Spikes in exchange for its life.
They seem like they're playing without a game plan and just attacking with whatever mon's out. Like, this doesn't really seem like very high-level gameplay. Like, no shade to them. It's alright when you're just starting out and stuff. The rapid spin when they have an obvious switch into Jellicent.
Alt F4 tries to use Cragnole to take out the Jellicent using Freeze Dry so that he can clear the hazards, but Franz is having none of that with a super unexpected Dynamax on his Jellicent. Knowing he's not going to make any progress if he can't get those spikes out, Alt F4 pivots to Celesteela, and Franz decides to swap out himself, trading in his Dynamax Jellicent for a Clawlitzer, who is going to be able to easily bust through the Celesteela with a rain-boosted Water Pulse. But Celesteela cannot hold down the fort against Clawlitzer's massive special attack. Fortunately, after Celesteela goes down, Cragnole gets a free turn to recover and is now able to take out the Jellicent. Franz next reveals Tornadus, and ordinarily this would mean the death of Cragnole, but he chooses to use Nasty Plot in an attempt to sweep the rest of Hit Alt F4's team instead of dealing with the Cragnole in front of him, and he pays dearly with a significant amount of Tornadus HP, alongside the fact that he allowed Cragnole to rapid spin away all of his setup that he spent so much time trying to preserve. Alt F4 now sends out Meowstic and is suddenly in a great position. Thanks to being able to save the Dynamax, he's able to easily win the game with a Pokemon in the back. Pig Warrior, what are your thoughts on the game?
Like, right now, I'd say it's around, like, is this, an older replay or a newer replay?
So this replay was sent in just before Halloween.
I'd say I'm just gonna go with a flat 1500.
That is incorrect. Alt F4 was 1688 and now 1711. A very close guess, all things considered, but not close enough. Thank you for being on the show, Pig Warrior. I appreciate your insight and commentary, but we are going to move on to the next match. In our final match, Limphau is challenged with guessing the ELO of a Gen 9 Random Battles game sent in by Sino versus Bulb33. Sino starts with Screamtail up against Golduck, and Scream gets to set up a light screen and gets to use Thunder Wave before swapping out to Florges. Florges is able to set up Calm Mind, and right now, Sino is playing the game extremely well, but Bulb won't let him have the win for free. Bulb swaps to Sableye and uses Encore, which forces out the Florges. Predicting that though, Sino goes into Screamtail, and both players swap as Light Screen ends. Sino continues to play well, and does more than half to the Zapdos, causing Bulb to swap and elect to sacrifice his Golbat instead of Zapdos. Bulb sends out Tauros, knowing that Sino has to rely on the inaccurate Gunk Shot now to break substitutes, and Sino gets an unlucky miss instantly, allowing Tauros to get a free substitute and then bulk up on the next turn. And after popping the sub, Sino pivots to Florges to threaten Tauros, but Tauros is able to heal up entirely thanks to that Citrus Berry and Chudchu. So this Tauros is still looking extremely threatening, and Tauros now activates Terrafire in an attempt to resist Moonblast and keep his sub up, but it does not work. Florges is still too powerful, but fortunately it does allow for Raging Bull to one-shot Florges, and Sino sends out Screamtail and gets Reflect up. Sadly, Raging Bull actually breaks Reflect, so this effort was in vain, but Pyroar is able to kill Tauros with a Hyper Voice, his sound move that hits from behind the sub, so he still is able to make out of that situation relatively unscathed. Sableye forces to swap with Encore, and Skuntank comes out, surviving a foul play and enabling Sino to crunch Sableye, getting a nasty defense drop. Screamtail comes out, and Sableye burns it with Will-O-Wisp, but that defense drop will matter as Play Rough is still enough to kill the Sableye through the burn. Bulb now sends out Zapdos. Screamtail sets up Light Screen and swaps to T-Tar. Zapdos uses Discharge, and then U-turns out to Girafarig, and it should be over for Bulb as Cyno is able to get a Dragon Dance up on Tyranitar, and thanks to the Light Screen and Sandstorm, he's going to have a ton of special defense. There's no way that Girafarig or Zapdos are going to be able to touch him. But Thunderbolt comes out and gets a Paralyzed. Bulb starts bashing his head into the keyboard using random moves, probably confused as to how he's still in this game, and so as Cyno gets Para-Haxed 3 times in a row, but that is not enough to stop him. Girafarig falls and Tornadus comes out, but Cyno uses Terra Ghost to avoid damage from the Focus Blast. However, as Cyno is about to make the game-winning play, one last Paralyze will stop him and cause Zapdos to be able to take him out. And now Cyno has to work a little more for his well-deserved win, but after a little bit of stalling, Cyno reveals Meloetta as his last Pokemon, and he is able to dispatch Zapdos with ease. Given that Limphau has no mic, I'll give my own thoughts before we go on his guess. Cyno played very well with few clear mistakes. He didn't know about Raging Bull breaking screens, but hey, I didn't either. It's still a pretty new move, new format. Bulb, on the other hand, played... Well, I mean, I wouldn't say they played very well, but, you know, Bulb played too. Ultimately, a well-deserved win from Cyno. And if I had to guess, I probably would have guessed that this is above 1600. And the ELO guess from Limphau is 1678. And that guess is incorrect. Cyno wins this game and rises to 1477 on the ladder. Not terribly off for a guess, not a bad guess by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not close enough. Thank you, Limphau, for being a part of the show, and thank you to the players Cyno, Alt F4, and Mochi for submitting these games. If you would like, you can be featured in the next episode. If you want to be on the show, submit a replay using the upload and share button and send the link to SlugmaGuts9699 on Discord. I'll see you in the next episode.